my disciples still follow the difficult path. The way of the voice is neither wide nor easy, but if you stray from wisdom, then to Sovngarde you will not return. Hey, what's going on, peeps? My name is Rex and we're back with some more Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and today we're going to be doing the Ustengrav cave for our quest to find Jurgen Windcaller's horn, which we do need in order for the Greybeards to, I guess, claim us as being true Dragonborns as a test that we're gonna have to fulfill. Something that it is to believe that all Dragonborns do have to go through. It's unclear whether, and I think it's very interesting, I don't know if actual Greybeards, like just normal humans who want to learn the way of the voice, have to go through this trial, or if this trial is purposely just designed for Dragonborns, although I would probably say is the former. It's for everybody to do. Because it's very interesting, as soon as you give the horn to the Greybeards, they actually return it to the grave, and you can actually come back to the grave and click on the horn to actually get a dragon soul, which is something, it's kind of a little secret. Not many people actually get to do that. Not many people actually return to this dungeon after they finish it. It's very interesting because it's not the first time that we've talked about returning to an actual dungeon to do something that activates after you have finished it. Seems like, at least for the main quest, Bethesda added a lot of that stuff, and you never really get to do it. At least most people, I would assume, don't. But it's interesting nonetheless that the Greybeards actually go and return the horn here. Like, they ask you to retrieve it, and then they grab it and bring it all the way back. So it is to assume that, you know, they want it to be that way for other Dragonborns or Greybeards to follow on the test. So I would assume that it's probably for Greybeards as well. Otherwise they wouldn't be in such a hurry to put it in here again, since Dragonborns really do come only once an era, maybe even less than that. So anyways, we got a couple of topics, but we should probably talk about Jurgen Windcaller first, since we're trying to collect his horn, and this is in fact his grave. It's as you can see, obviously there's Draugrs here, so this used to be what one can assume a Dragonpriest city back in the day. So, which lets me to a mistake that I talked about on the last episode. I was saying that I wasn't really sure if the Archmage was Savas Aren or not, and it's not, and you guys were quick to correct me on that. Thank God I said that I wasn't really sure about that before I said it. Nonetheless, I do feel bad about, you know, just not really knowing the names of characters. I'm pretty bad with names usually. But the Archmage that I was telling you guys about in the last episode, the guy who had the ability to build cities with just magic, his name was actually Shalidor, which is where the name Shalidor's Maze comes into place, of course, because he built the maze with his own magic. The city was already there because the Dragonpriests built it. In fact, Labyrinthian was the capital city of the Dragonpriests. That's where all the Dragonpriests would come together to talk about ruling the world. It was like their headquarters, if you want to call it that. It was the capital city. So the city was already there. He just built the maze with his own power, at least as far as we know. That's what he did. You can also, as I said before, you can find him and quest with him in Elder Scrolls Online. But regardless, I just wanted to kind of fix that little mistake that I made. You guys were quick to correct me. The other mistake that I made was not really a mistake as much as it's more of a personal touch. I like to call Sithis a she, and it's something that I have done since forever. I've always called her a she, but it is understood that Sithis is in fact a male. And look, let me just preface by saying that there is no concept of male and female as far as gods are concerned. Even Daedrus don't really have gender. It's really just a mortal thing. We have to reproduce, so we have genders. But it's the gods don't necessarily have to do that, and they have no genders. But that being said, Sithis has always been referred to as the Dread Father. And obviously that, coupled with the fact that the Night Mother is a she, and she's considered to be the bride of Sithis, you know, it is kind of understood that Sithis is supposed to be a guy, or at least serves a male model. And as you can see, there's a chest here, and there is a way to get there, and I'll show you guys in just a bit. So I do want to see. I don't think it's a correction necessarily, because it's not that I said that he was a he. It's just I like saying Sithis as a she. I don't know why I like to envision that as a she. I don't know. I don't know if we can actually go back from here. I've never really gone back since. Oh yeah, I guess I can. I can go up this little ramp because we want to get that hidden chest, and we're gonna actually use the shout we just got, Whirlwind Sprint, to get there. And it's not a very hard puzzle to solve, especially since they just gave you the shout and you do use the shout later on, so the game is already telling you that some shouts are needed to fulfill certain requirements or to go through certain puzzles. But regardless, so let's talk a little bit about Jurgen Windcaller, which was our original topic. I have to wait until my shout replenishes here. There we go. Jurgen Windcaller was the first of the Way of the Voice. In fact, he was the founder of the Way of the Voice. Before he was around, the voice was used as a means of war. It was used as a helper for war, a way for the Nords to combat the obviously magical Ysmir and the obviously technologically advanced Dwemer. It was a way for the Nords to even measure up to their level, and for the most part it was very effective. I mean, we know the true power of the voice, how strong it can be, and the Nords that be used it to no ends. But in the battle at Red Mountain in the War of Succession, they battled against the Ysmir and the Dwemer, and they lost, which was something that was kind of new to the Nords. They've been winning wars all around the world, all around the north, thanks to the Way of the Voice, and they lost. So Jurgen Windcaller, at the time, he was the leader of the army, or one of the leaders of the army. And here you get become ethereal. Can't forget this. He went into meditation for what I believe was 3 years, or was it 7 years, one of the two. But he meditated for a long time, trying to figure out why he lost that battle. Why the Way of the Voice, not the Way of the Voice, the way the Thumes felled him wasn't strong as it usually was, and why it didn't help him win the war. And then he came into the conclusion that he may have indeed upset the gods, that he may have indeed abused the power of the voice for far too long for war instead of just for honoring the gods. So he decided to make a new group that would use the voice to honor the gods instead of for war, and that's where he decided to make the Way of the Voice. The only reason that he succeeded, though, was because he was so good at it. Like, he was the best of the... They call it the Militian group. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's a group of people that use the Way of the Voice. Not the Way... God, I keep saying the Way of the Voice. The Way of the Voice came later. The Way of the Voice was what Jurgen formed when he decided to use the voice as a way of honoring the gods. And it's a pacifistic way of looking at the power. And he decided to form it, but the only reason that he succeeded was because he was really, really good at it. He was the best at using the voice at that time. In fact, it was so good that I believe it was 13, I think. I'm not sure the number of voice users that used their Thumes against Jurgen to see how worthy he was, and he survived the blast of the three. By the way, this is, I believe, the only place in the game where you're actually allowed to use your Whirlwind Sprint twice in a row. You saw that I did it twice. The game is scripted so that you can do it here, so that you can pass through the trial, and I believe that is the case. I don't think it's a bug at all. Hold on. Yeah, I believe it's meant for you to be able to do it twice there and only there, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, yeah. So everyone believed in the Way of Jurgen because he was so good at it that they believed that he was, you know, the gods have sent him into this quest for a purpose, and they all became his disciples. And they formed the Way of the Voice, which was that kind of religious way of looking at the voice and use it to honor the gods. And he formed High Hrothgar in the throat of the world, and that's where the Greybeards kind of come into place. Very interesting stuff. But that's as far as we know about Jurgen. We don't really know how he died or the nature of his death. All we know is that he was buried here with the horn, and you know, that's part of his belongings. There's really no lore for the horn at all. We just know that it was something that he used. Outside of that, we don't really have anything else. And there it is. That's where the horn would be, but of course it's... That's where the horn would be, but of course it's not there. And this is one of the coolest things about this dungeon.
Quite like that.
Interestingly enough, there's like no trigger for this. I mean, like, you would think that someone would be pulling a lever or something to make this happen. Now, it's also cool to note that you can see those druggers that are dead here on the side, and we didn't kill them. Well, it is understood that it was killed by our friend here when she came in here to take the horn from us. Dragonborn, I need to speak to you urgently. Rent the attic room at the Sleeping Giant Inn at Riverwood, and I'll meet you. So she must have come from the back or something through a shortcut, killed these two guys, and then put the horn in there. But she obviously left all the treasure for us, which is really nice of her. I do have a couple of things that I want to talk about though, outside of questions, just one of my personal topics. And so I did obviously the video for Talos, and it has a lot of comments, man. People are just like, what just happened? It was a pretty crazy video with a lot of crazy speculation, theories, and truths that a lot of people just never saw coming with Talos, because he's one of those characters that, you know, obviously you hear a lot of in the games, but you never really get to truly experience who he was as a person, because that's the part that nobody really talks about. When you talk about Talos, you talk about his divine person, you know, his biggest accomplishments, but you don't really get to read those books or talk to the people that truly knew him. And that's what makes it so interesting, at least to me. I should probably level up now. I like to save the levels for when I'm really in trouble, so that I don't have to waste potions and whatnot. Let's go ahead and get some. So let's get some health now. Conjuration. So Summoner is the one that bugs out, is as far as what you guys told me. Bugs out the castings. I'll need it at some point though. I guess not necessarily. I don't think this, because the one I'm gonna be using, the summon I'm gonna be using the most is the expert spell. I think it's the what's the name of that? The Dremora Lords, I believe it's called. And I don't think this affects the Dremoras at all. It's just for Aeternax. So I might as well just do Necromancy and Dark Souls and then get Twin Souls. Twin Souls is what I really want. So I'm gonna work for that. So yeah, we talked about Talos a little bit, but one of the biggest theories as to, and this is speculation, by the way. This is obviously not proven or by developers or by lore necessarily, as far, or maybe I missed something, but it is, as far as my understanding of it, it's not really proven by lore or anything along those lines. But one of the biggest theories as far as Talos is concerned is that Talos is indeed three people at once. That the concept of Talos as a divine entity is three people, not just Tiber Septim, but Tiber Septim, Ysmir, Wolfhearth, and Arcturus, the Archmage. That he is indeed the three people put together, and that those three guys form Talos as the divine entity. And I've seen a lot of comments for that, and my girlfriend as well was saying that she believed that to be the case. And I'm not sure. At first I really wasn't sure about how true that might be, or how could such a thing happen. How could the three people together form a divine entity? Especially because usually it is attributed to just Tiber Septim, of course. But then I started thinking about it. And when you really think about it, there is a possibility. And it is a possibility that I think it's not that far-fetched to think about at all. And think about it this way: in a Dragon Break, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should definitely watch the Talos lore video, definitely, because it's amazing. But in it, I talk about the Dragon Break and what the Dragon Break is, and how it alters reality, it alters the way time is shown in the game, and it makes everything possible. All the timelines, of course, combining together at the end of the Dragon Break, making all realities true. And It's interesting because there are multiple theories as far as what happened to Tiber Septim in that time frame. We know that a group of people theorized that, and this is the official story that is given to us, that Tiber Septim used his own soul to fuel the medium, and then he conquered the world. And then there's the Arcturus heresy that says that no, he used the soul of Wulfharth, and then Wulfharth killed Arcturus, and then he used the soul of Wulfharth in the Mantella to fuel the medium and then conquer the world. And then there's other people that say that no, he in the Mantella, both the soul of Arcturus and of Wulfharth were captured, and then he used both of their souls because both of them were Chizarines, avatars of Shore. We know for a fact that Arcturus, the Archmage, was indeed an avatar of Shore as well. So he used both of their souls to fuel the medium and then conquer the world. And it's interesting because these are three different theories, right? And a lot of people tell us three different things. Like you can find books and people that talked about this whole ordeal as three different realities, which is what happens in a Dragon Break. People have different interpretations of what happened because to different people, it all happened in different ways. To a lot of people, Arcturus and Wulfharth were in the Mantella, whereas to others, it was just Wulfharth, whereas to others, it was Tiber Septim, right? And it's not that they're wrong. It's just that they were in different timelines, and then when it all connected, they were all true, right? So the theory is that in the Dragon Break, when the three realities combined, the three souls ended up in the same Mantella. So you have one Mantella with just Tiber Septim's soul. You have one Mantella with Wulfharth, and then you have one Mantella with Wulfharth and Arcturus. So when the three timelines combined, making all realities true, you have a Mantella with the three of them, and then when he became a divine, he used the Mantella, and then the three souls became one. Like, it makes sense when you think about it that way, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about it and explain my interpretation of how it could be possible. I don't necessarily believe in it, but it could be. Of course, we don't really have, anything to prove this or any official developer response to any of this, but I think it's very interesting to note that it is indeed a possibility that Talos might just be three people at once. And if it is, then it could technically mean that, well, maybe Shore finally found his place in the Pantheon. But anyways, let's go and rent our room here.
I'm the innkeeper. It's my business to keep track of strangers. Attic room, eh? Well, we don't have an attic room, but you can have the one on the left. Make yourself at home.
She should be coming towards me, but
I need some more ale.
She seems to be stalling. But yeah, sorry, I know it's extremely nerdy to be talking about these things, but I find it so interesting, and I was seeing a lot of comments on that, so I wanted to kind of explain a little bit how it could be possible.
So you're the Dragonborn I've been hearing so much about. I think you're looking for this. We need to talk. Follow me.
Alright, so we'll deal with Delphine on another episode, because that'll start more of the main quest, and as I said before, all I really wanted to do for the main quest was get Fusroda and then obviously deal with the introductory explanations of what a Dragonborn is, and obviously High Hrothgar and all of that before we started doing some of the side quests. I guess in this case it would be the Dark Brotherhood, which is what you guys voted for. So we'll skip Delphine for a while and we'll continue here just to get Fusroda, and then we'll start doing Brotherhood stuff. Now, a lot of you guys have also been asking me to talk about the Chim, which is spelled C-H-I-M, which is it's a power that Talos had, and it's the power that he used to clear out the jungles of Cyrodiil. And at some point I may make an episode just for that, but this video is already running kind of long and we have some lore here to talk about, and questions, so I think I'm gonna have to pass on that. But don't worry, I'm listening to what you guys have to say. We'll talk about it at some other point. Let me just go ahead and remove Dragonborn so that I can just... No, actually, that's the one I want. No, that's not the one I want. Here. Jesus. Alright, let's lore it out with Arngir. Oh, well.
Ah, you've retrieved the horn of Jörgen Windhelm. Well done. You have now passed all the trials. Come with me, It is time for us to recognize you formally as Dragonborn.
So this is the trials that, of course, every Dragonborn has to go through. He goes here, he passes the trials, and then he has to be recognized by the Greybeards, which is an actual ritual that they're going to do, which is the same ritual that was done to Jurgen Windcaller, who wasn't a Dragonborn, but he was so good at the way of the voice that he managed to survive the blast of a bunch of Thume users, which is what became the ritual. Now we're gonna have to survive the shouts of the Greybeards in order to be formally recognized as a Dragonborn, which is something that could only be done by us. It is said that only a whisper could kill a person, a normal person, and these guys are gonna literally shout in our face, so it's gonna be a pretty interesting trial.
And the final word of unrelenting force, Da, which means push.
Now, I want to let you guys know that they're gonna talk to us in Dovahkiin, and I'm gonna be translating it after the fact.
Together, this shout is much more powerful. Use it wisely. You have completed your training, Dragonborn. We would speak to you. Stand between us and prepare yourself. Few can withstand the unbridled voice of the Greybeards, but you are ready. Dovahkiin, you have tasted the voice of the Greybeards and passed through unscathed. High Hrothgar is open to you.
And there we go, completed the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller. So what they said is in Dovahkiin, as I mentioned, and it translates directly into, long has the storm-crowned languished with no worthy brow to sit upon. By our breath we bestow it now to you, in the name of Kine, in the name of Shore, and in the name of Admora of old. You are Ysmir now, the Dragon of the North. Hearken to it. So they have just proclaimed us Ysmir. We are now called Ysmir. So we are whatever our name is. Let's say that our name is... What did I name this character? I don't remember anymore. I don't know if I can see... Oh, I can see the name in the loading screen. So we are... Oh yeah, Captain Dread. How could I forget? So we are Ysmir Captain Dread. It's literally... It's like a prefix to our name. Just like Ysmir Wolfhearth and, you know, whatever else. Or I guess in Tiber Septim it would be Ysmir Tiber Septim. So this is your confirmation that Ysmir is not just the one person. Because a lot of people used to think before that Talos was Ysmir, that they were the same thing. It is not how it works. Ysmir is how... An Ysmir is literally a Dragonborn that has been confirmed by the Greybeards. It's literally what it is. So a Dragonborn, any Dragonborn could have been born at any stage of the universe, of the world. But if they're not confirmed by the Greybeards, then they're just... You know, they're just a Dovahkiin, an unconfirmed Dovahkiin. It's like a graduation, if you wish. So now we're Ysmir, which means Dragon of the North, is the definition of what Ysmir is. And yeah, just like Tiber Septim, just like Wolfhearth. Not like Mirak. Mirak actually lived before the Greybeards were formed, so he's not Ysmir. Not like it matters. The name Ysmir doesn't really mean... I mean, it only really entails that we have been confirmed by the Greybeards, but it doesn't actually add any power to us. It doesn't mean that we're a Chesarine, you know, like, it doesn't mean that we're an avatar of Shore or anything like it. It's really just a formality more than anything. Now, I don't really have anything else to do. because I want to leave. We're going to start doing some Dark Brotherhood stuff on the next episode as per your votes. But I still have some questions to answer. So let me see if I can find a dungeon to do. We could probably just do some walking somewhere. See, we have to walk towards Windhelm if we want to do the... if we want to do the Brotherhood. So we might as well just, I guess, do some walking while I answer some of these questions. This is completely off script. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this as quickly as I did. And the video is going to be a little bit longer, but I'm sure that you guys don't mind that at all. Let's go ahead and formulate a path. Just kind of set a custom destination so that I can tell where I'm going. But one of the questions that I have here is... okay, quick question referring to the Dragonpriests. This is by Bruce M. How the Dragonpriests, how were they chosen and how were they named? Now, this is a tricky question because we don't actually get any official lore that tells us one way or the other. So whatever we can gather to answer this question is all just speculation, and it's really just a matter of how much insight we have into the story and how much we can gather, right? Now, my intuition and my own speculation, and this is just my opinion, this is in no way official, is that the Dragonpriests most probably took on the name of the mask. Now, I don't mean the mask literally as in the Dragonpriests gave the mask to these kings and said, okay, now you're gonna be named this. I think to some degree these people were named something else, and then at some point or another they found their usage, they found what they were meant to do, and then they changed their name to that. So before we get too far, so the way the dragons decided who to give this mask, and yes, the dragons gave the dragon priests the masks and imbued those masks with power to give this priest power, was an exchange. So the dragon priest would rule over men as kings and usher the wheel of the dragons, and, you know, pretty much just like take the tribute from the humans and rule over them for the dragons. And in exchange, the dragons would give this priest power. It's literally how the exchange would go. And so these masks literally have power that the dragons would then possess. And of course, we know how powerful dragons used to be back then. We know that dragons had the ability to cast, you know, fire or frost. They had the ability to imbue things like magic, give you extra armor. They had the ability to do all of these things. Not just that, but we know that they had the ability to manipulate time. We know, of course, the slow time shout, very famous shout. And we know that Akatosh was the dragon of time. We know that he literally came up with the concept of time, so he had the ability to manipulate it. So, and we can see that, of course, in the wooden mask that we actually possess currently here, which is imbued with the power to manipulate time. But the interesting thing about the mask, by the way, before I get any further, is that you can actually find this mask in the Labyrinthian, and we know that the Labyrinthian used to be the capital of the Dragonpriests. So it's interesting that, I mean, the ability to manipulate time is by far the strongest ability that you, at least as far as the masks are concerned. I mean, yeah, you can maybe your fire is a little bit stronger, you know, maybe you're immune to poison, sure, but the ability to manipulate time is by far the strongest out of all those abilities, arguably, but I would say it's definitely the strongest. And it's interesting because you can find this mask of power in the Labyrinthian, which is the capital of the Dragonpriests. So we can assume that whoever was the owner of this mask, of the wooden mask, was probably the strongest and the leader of all of the Dragonpriests. That's interesting, at least for me. Oh boy. Let's go ahead and conjure a familiar for this. Get someone to tank this for us. Now, as far as Conoric is concerned, which is the mask that you get by putting all the masks in their respective places, he was probably meant to be, because a lot of people don't know what he was, and of course there's a question, who the hell was this? Why is there no Dragon Priest to that mask? The theory that I came up with is probably that he was supposed to be, because the mask, Conoric, translates directly into Warlord. So he was probably meant to be like, almost like a emergency leader. So if the dragons ever went to war with somebody else, the Dragon Priests, the kings, would usher a leader for all the armies to fall under, and then, you know, they would use their masks to grab this one and then give this mask to the leader so that he would rule over everybody. But apparently that never really happened. I don't know, for whatever reason it never did happen. I don't know. It's one of those mysteries. But regardless, back to the original question. did the Dragon Priest took on the name of the mask, or did the mask took on the name of the priest? There are characters like Ysmir. So Ysmir is one of the Dragon Priests that rules over Solstheim. He's one of the Solstheim Dragon Priests. And it's interesting because Ysmir means... This is the one that means guardian, is it? No, guardian is Valok. Ysmir means blood. I think it translates directly into like... blood hunter. I don't remember exactly, because there's 3 words, alright, right? Like it's sai, dal. So there's an extra word that I'm missing, but together it means blood sword. And it's interesting because you need the blood skull sword to enter his tomb in the first place, which is interesting because obviously the sword has blood in its name and the Dragon Priest has blood in its name as well. So it would imply that his name had something to do with the actual sanctuary where he is. So you can argue, wait, did his mother named him Bloodsword when he was a baby, and then he, the sanctuary and the way to open the sanctuary came about because of his name, or did he took on the name of the sanctuary on purpose? I think it's more likely that he took on the name. He changed his name just for his purpose in life, rather than his purpose in life was defined by his name, if that makes any sense. And it'll make more sense with Valok. So Valok means guardian, and he was the guy that defeated Mirak. And I want to go ahead and check out this vista here, but Valok was the guy, the Dragon Priest, that defeated Mirak when Mirak betrayed the dragons. And Valok means guardian. Now it's interesting because he later on became the jailer of Mirak. He tried to keep Mirak from ever resurrecting, and obviously protecting the island of Solstheim. And I don't think it's coincidence that he is the guardian of Solstheim and the jailer of Mirak. And he's also called the guardian, like Valok translates into guardian. I think it is more likely that he was named something else, and that he took on the name Guardian purposely for the sake of his role in life, But it's really just speculation. Like, we don't really know. It makes more sense for them to change their names rather than just being born into these names. Like a mother naming his son Sorrow, Croesus. It's weird. It's just weird. Especially because when you really think about it, a lot of these names are angry names. They are, there's, I think, Hebnorak literally translates into brutal. Brutal, man. That's crazy. Like, who would name their son Brutal? It makes no sense, right? There's, of course, Sorrow. There's Mad. I think Otar translates into Mad. Well, he's Otar the Mad, but his translation probably also means mad. So it's a lot of that stuff. It just makes more sense for them to have changed their names. So I know it's not really an answer, Mr. Bruce, but it's the best that I can give you. It's really just a matter of, okay, let's analyze the situation and see if we can use our real life logic into this. But man, I think I brought way too many questions for this. The video's already going way too long. Oh boy, should I even answer another question? Let's go another question. So, Young and Blast asks, if you defeat Alduin before seeing Mirak, he says, so you defeated Alduin. I could have done that a long time ago, but I chose a different path. When you first see him, is this true or not? Because it seems very interesting. Yes. Mirak was a lot more powerful than us, and it's very interesting because Mirak actually says to us, hey, you have no idea the power of the Dragonborn. Like, you have just killed a few dragons, man. You don't understand how powerful a Dragonborn can really be. And it's interesting because I think it's 21 dragons, about 21 dragon skeletons just outside of Mirak's sanctuary. And we know that he betrayed the dragons. We know that he killed a lot of dragons before he was finally defeated by Valok. So he must have been very, very powerful. And it's interesting because, and I got this question, I'm just going to walk around Windhelm before I close this video off as I finish this question. But we know that there were, some people were asking me before, hey, is it possible to have more than 3 words of power? Like, could somebody use 4 words of power or 5 words of power to increase the power of the Thumes? And it's interesting because that's what Mirak did. And when he says, hey, you don't even know the power of the Dragonborn, man, you're just starting. It might have been true because he had the ability to use 4 words of power. And in fact, the ability, if you guys battled Mirak, his signature move was to automatically kill a dragon, absorb his dragon soul, and then heal himself back to full. That ability that he had, that's a 4 worth of power move that he did, which is by far his strongest ability. So it's just very interesting, right? He may have been able to defeat Alduin if he wanted to. And we do know that, you guys remember in the Dragon War, when you go back in time and you see the Soul Tear and you see
Then it's true.
this is where you get the start of the quest. We'll get into that house tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but the next episode. Yeah, there we go. Talk to Aventus Aretino. We're just exploring a little bit here. But, where was I? Mirak. Oh boy, I lost myself. Alright, so when they were fighting Alduin, you guys remember the warriors that banished Alduin with the Elder Scrolls. They actually came into Mirak and they asked Mirak for help defeating the dragons, and Mirak actually said no, that he was going to follow his own path. And he did fight and betrayed a lot of dragons, but for whatever reason he chose his own path. We don't really know what it meant, why he wanted to do it himself. Maybe it's just a matter of being cocky, I suppose, which he was very much cocky. I don't want to buy any flowers, I'm sorry. He was very cocky, so he probably just wanted to defeat the dragons on his own, rule the world on his own without the help of anybody. But he was very, very powerful, and in fact, it wasn't the dragons who defeated him, it was another dragon priest. So he had the ability to kill as many dragons as he wanted to. I mean, you guys saw his power, really. But,
Do you hate the Dark Elves?
anyways, I'm just gonna close with the 4 words of power so that we can leave this episode today. So the 4 words of power that Mirak uses to completely destroy a dragon, absorb his soul, and heal himself back to full is called Seal Los Di Do, which translates into your soul is mine to devour. And the way you use it is you say the dragon's name first. So you say Alduin, and then you say the 4 words of power. So Alduin, Seal Los Di Do, and then the ability happens. Of course, just knowing the words of power is not enough. You would have to know the meaning of the words to be able to use it. So that's the interesting part. You might be wondering, why is this guy so powerful? Well, again, Hermaeus Mora. Hermaeus Mora has all the knowledge, or most of the knowledge of the world. So even if, you know, if we wanted to know the meaning of this word, all we have to do is probably ask Hermaeus Mora, and maybe he tells, maybe he wouldn't, but it's interesting. We might be able to find the spell here if I'm good enough with my console command power. It would be I think so I have it here, but I'm able to find it like this. Oh shit, nice. I messed that up. So help, it would be DLC to Mirak. Maybe if I do this. There it is. No, it's not. No, it's not it. Oh, damn it. Help Mirak. Am I able to find it a spell? I really want to find it for you guys. You can see that the console commands shows you like the spells that has the name Mirak in them, and I mean everything that has the name Mirak. So those that thing there is a cell. Those are locations, so we could literally teleport to those locations if we wanted to. There's the Temple of Mirak, the Sanctum. There's no spell. There would have to be a shout. I don't know if I can find it for you. Oh, too bad. Maybe if I type it directly. Alright, this is my last try, boys. My last try. DLC to Mirak fake shout spell. Let's see. Can't find it. I probably spelled it wrong at some point, but there is actually the shout is in the game, and theoretically you could probably use it if you cheat it, but you wouldn't. It wouldn't be like, you know, your character wouldn't actually say the voice or anything like that. It would be bugged out as hell, but it is there. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked this episode. It was kind of very like unscripted, just kind of me talking a little bit. It didn't really had a plan specifically as to where we're gonna go or where we were gonna go. But tomorrow we will be doing the Brotherhood, and we'll talk, of course, about Sithis and the Night Mother and, you know, all that good stuff, because I got a lot of questions about, you know, the souls and where they're sent to, and obviously people are very curious about the soul cairn, which, I mean, granted, is kind of mysterious, like who the hell are the Ideal Masters and all of that stuff. We'll talk about all of that. Don't you guys worry. Anyways, thanks for being here, boys. And girls, love you all. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.